Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture. In this video I will be talking about running earned value analysis using Primavera. As you know, earned value analysis is a very useful tool to evaluate your performance in the middle of the project. It will tell you if you can finish the project on time and within budget, or you might face cost overrun, or you might face a delay, and actually it creates an opportunity for the project manager to take corrective actions and get the project back on track. Okay, so how to perform it. To begin, I recommend that you all have these columns activated because we will use them. So if you don't remember how to display a column, you can go here, and here you have a full list of the columns. And to bring a new column, you simply click on available options and click on find, and you can, for example, if you need planned value, you can easily type it and it will find it for you. Okay, all the items that have those terms of what you have typed will be shown, and you can easily bring them to the right. So when you do this, you can bring them to the right. And if, for example, this is already selected, plan value cost, let's say I want to bring it. So first I click on it, then I will bring it to the right, and I can change its location by playing with this up and down arrow. Okay, so this is something um, almost elementary with P6. So I want you guys to have these columns shown or displayed, and you should not cancel it. You should not hit the cross sign. You should always hit the OK sign so the changes will be affected. So I have created a project with only 2 activities to make it simple for you all. The important thing with the earned value analysis is that you should have a cost associated with every activity. Okay, so it means without having a cost for your activities, there is no meaning in running earned value analysis. But P6 will not allow you to insert costs manually. In fact, you have to have a resource for each activity and a cost for that resource, so you can indirectly identify a cost for each activity. To put it simple, for each activity you create a resource, and for each resource you create or you define a corresponding cost. In this way, you are indirectly connecting the activity to its cost. Okay, so without the mediator of the source of the resource, you cannot identify or you cannot define a cost for an activity. So that is needed. But you might ask how to add a cost for how to add a resource for an activity. So the first step is adding the resource, and then you can add the cost of that resource. So the cost of each activity will be available after that. So we already have the resource column activated. The easiest way to add a resource is to click on that activity. Okay, and in activity details down here, you should click on the resource tab, so you have that activated, and you then can add a resource. So you already have a resource. So let me remove my resource so you will learn how to add it. So you click on the activity title, you go to the resource tab, you go to the add resource, and the easiest way to add a resource that is good to add costs of that activity is adding the material as a resource. Okay, because almost each activity uses some kind of material, and even if they don't, you can use it fakely, so you will be able, it will enable you to add the corresponding cost of that activity. So I would select material resources. In the list of the resources, it's far at the end, it's so it's way down, and you click on material resources, and once you add it, it will appear here. Once you double click on it, it will appear here. So you don't have to close this. You can just go to the next activity, and once you can see, once you go there, if you click on add resources, even if you don't add resources because you already have this window open, it automatically adds this resource to this activity. Or if you didn't want to do that, or if you added a resource for 2 times, and you wanted to get rid of that, the best way to get rid of that is just to hit remove, and then your resource will go away. And if you want to add it again, so you add resource, select it in the list of the resources. If you can't see it, you simply search its name and it will pop up, and then by double clicking it will show here. And you don't have to close this window. You can leave it open and you can move between the activities, and whatever activity is highlighted, when you double click on the corresponding resource, it will be added to the list of the resources down here. Okay, so that is how you add resources. But once you have the resources, then you can manually add the budgeted material cost. Okay, because we just added the material as a resource, so now it enables us to add a cost for that. So let's say activity A costs $20,000, and activity B costs $16,000. Okay, so now we have costs for 2 activities, and you said budget at completion is automatically generated. It means when we are done with this activity, it will cost us this much. Okay, so but there are more items to compute. So let's move on to the next step. So far we have the resources, and we have we have the cost of those resources. We said that we don't necessarily need the materials. It's just a way to innate so that the P6 will allow us to add some cost for those activities. Okay, so also remember the budgeted material cost. There is P6 has a when you make a change in anything, the budget material cost might go away. So it's good that you define the budget material cost in the last step. It's just as a side point. And if you want to know the cost of everything, it means if you want to know the summation of things, the way to do that is to go to this menu, which is group and sort, and show the summaries. So when you show the summaries, and you can say grand totals, so it will show you the totals here. But since I selected only, so it will not show the little things. Okay, so now as you can see, it will show the summation of 20 and 16, which is $36,000. So it's good because it is now showing the totals of all the activities. Well, here we have only 2 activities, but imagine we had tons or maybe tens or hundreds of activities, so we could easily see the total cost of the activities at each interval. So the important thing to know, there are 2 important things actually in earned value analysis when you're working with P6. The first important thing is that you should start the activities, okay? Because once you create the activity, it's a dead schedule, okay? It means it does not consider it as P6 things, or assumes that the project has not started yet. So you should manually tell P6 that now the activity, the project is in progress, and a portion of each activity has been done, or some of the activities has been partially completed. So you should communicate it to P6, but how to do it? So the way to do that is that you go to the corresponding activity for any activity that has started, you click on it, and then you go to status, okay? and click started. So when you do this, you are manually telling P6 to start an activity, and earned value analysis can only have a meaning when the project is in progress. It means the project must have started so that you can run the earned value analysis. So the other important piece of information is the project start date and the data date. Okay, there are two important dates that you should be very careful about. So project start date and data date will identify, as implied by the name, the project start date. Well, if you want to find it, you shouldn't be under activity view. You should be under project view. Okay, under project view, if you look at here, and if the dates tab is on or is displayed, you can see project plan to start and the data date. Okay, so I have selected January the 5th of the year 2022, and the data date is the same date as the plan date for now. It means we have not really done anything about the project, and the data date can never be before the start date. So the minimum, the earliest data date is the start day of the project. Okay, and you can manually change it if need be. Okay, so let's go back to the activities view. We have the planned start date selected, and we have the data date. So everything now will be computed or calculated based on the assumption that the project has started on January the 5th. Okay, so January the 5th is the day that the project has started. And in this particular schedule, activity B, if you look at my bar chart, it's just loading. Yeah, activity B should start after activity A. So as you can see, it's planned to start for activity B is when activity A finishes. That would be the 6th of March of that year, of the year 2022. So I have a dead schedule, yes. I mean, I started these two activities, but the data date is on the first, this red line is on the first day of the project. So although we have said that the project has started, we are standing at the very first second of this project, the very first day. So nothing has actually been done so far, and now we want to change it. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. So remember, the critical dates are the planned start date and the data date. So planned value. The way P6 calculates planned value for us is by completing budget at completion, by multiplying budget at completion by the schedule percent complete. Okay, so why, or what is the justification behind it? The cost of work that should be accomplished as of data date, if the project has proceeded according to the baseline plan, okay, is the definition of planned value. It means if everything goes smoothly according to the schedule by a particular day, which we call the data date, the project should have a value of X, okay, of anything. And that would be the planned value of the project at that date or on that date. So the planned cost of an activity is so far is therefore the cost of the portion of the work that has been completed so far. So the portion of the work is the percentage of that work that has to be completed. Okay, so for example, this activity A, should start on January the 5th. Okay, after 30 days, what percentage of work after, I mean, on the day of, let's say we're working every day, so there is no non-working days. So on February the 5th, it means 1 month after that, half of this must have been completed according to the schedule. Okay, so we're still talking about the plan. We're not talking about the reality yet, okay? So according to the plan, by February the 5th, half of the project must have been completed, okay? So it means if we change the data date, okay, if we change the data date, P6 must be able to calculate the scheduled percent complete. And once the scheduled percent complete, because this talks about the plan, so according to what day is today's date, it will tell us what percentage of this activity should have been completed by that date. And once you have that information, it can tell you the planned value, right? Because what is planned value? Planned value is the value of the project at a specific point according to your schedule, to your plan, right? So what we need to do to compute this is to change the data date. Okay, so we go ahead and change the data date. So this activity is going to start on March the 6th, let's say, and it will take 20 days. I want to put the data date on end of March and see what happens. Okay, so to do that, I click on schedule, and then I will change this. So we're talking about the year 2022 and the March of that year, and I will just put it on the 31st of March, okay, and hit schedule. So according to this, now the data date, as you can see, was moved, okay? So here is the data date, okay? So what it means is that by that date, we expect that activity A has been completed, okay? 100% of activity A should have been completed by March 1st, and 62.5% of activity B is expected to be completed by that day. Okay, 62% and a half of activity B is expected to have been completed. As you can see, P6, the budget material cost goes away whenever you make a change in your schedule. That's why the budget material cost should be the last item you enter into your schedule. Well, I can manually enter them again, and they're going to go away again, but because I'm going to show you the planned value, because the planned value is driven by these scheduled percent complete value. Now that this is given, the planned value should pop up, but it needs the budgeted material cost. So I guess the costs of them, I don't remember, but let's just say the first one takes $24,000, and the next one, okay, 24,000 bucks, yeah, and the next one needs $20,000. Okay. As you can see, the planned value is now available because you have the schedule percent complete, so the planned value is also given. So what is remaining? The remaining item is now the earned value and the actual cost. Okay. So for earned value, you're talking about the physical percentage of that activity that has been done so far. To make it simpler, we just consider that what percentage of its duration has passed. Okay, so by now, in reality, when you are the way you communicate the earned value to software, it means the way you insert the planned value is by telling the software that what percentage of its duration has passed in reality. Because, so to make it simpler, we assume a linear productivity, a linear relationship between activity duration and its completion. It means if half of the activity duration has passed, we assume half of the activity must have been completed. Okay, so the way we identify the earned value is by considering the duration percentage of the activities. So let's say out of the 60-day span that we have for this activity, okay, in reality we have consumed all 100% of that. Okay, so we have consumed all of the time, all its time, and for activity A, sorry, so I I was on B when I did that. So for A, I just wanted to assume that 100% of its duration has passed, and for activity B, not 100%, but let's say 40% of its duration has passed. Okay, and if they give you this activity is 40% completed, you can easily insert 40% here, so it will have the same function for the software. Okay, so as you can see, you have the planned value and earned value is popped up too. Okay, because by multiplying this percentage by the budgeted material cost, the software can calculate the earned value too. So the last item for us to find out is to actually insert into P6 is the actual cost. The way we insert actual cost is that we go to resources, okay, and we can manually enter actual cost. So actual cost is not something that we calculate. Actual cost is the money that we have spent, and we know how much money we have spent so far on each activity, right? So it does not need any calculation. Um, if you don't see actual cost here, the way to make it appear is right click on the blank space and customize the way it looks, and then you can find it. Okay, actual cost, and it's under cost actually. So since it's shown, I guess it's not showing me again. So if I bring it here, yes, then I will search it. So I want to search actual cost. Let me see, actual cost. So apparently capital letters matter. So I just actual cost. Okay. Oh, you know why? So it's not giving it to me because I am under the general. So if I want to look at everything, I should, yeah, the reason is that actual cost is here. So when actual cost is here, for me, it was already shown. So if you, let me bring it, let me actually delete it. So you no longer see actual cost here. Okay. Now, if I want to find it, I just click here, go to available options, go to find, and type actual cost, and it should pop up. Yes, actual cost, and you bring it here. So, and that is the most important item for us. So we bring it to the front or to the leftmost column, and you can see actual cost is now given. So now you can decide how much money you have. You can actually ask the project manager. So this information should be given to you by the project manager. So we know on activity A, let's say we spent 40, we spent $25,000. Okay, and oh, that's actually activity B, so I should click on this. For activity A, we spent $25,000, And for activity B, let's say we spent, I'm gonna say $15,000. Okay. So as you can see now, you have the planned value, you have the earned value, and you have the actual cost. And by having these three items, you can do the earned value analysis. So this is how, so to have a quick review, the three main items for earned value analysis in P6 are earned value, planned value, and actual cost. Planned value is driven by changing the data date of the project. Earned value can be customized by going to activity status and changing the physical progress of the project to any percentage that is given. And remember, if this started button is not shown, you cannot change this number. So you have to manually start each activity. You also said that the first step was to have a cost for each activity. It means budget material cost should be available because everything is calculated based on the cost of each activity. So without it, you cannot say how much money has been spent. So, and the actual cost finally could be inserted if you go to the resources, and if you can actually add this column, and you can manually enter the amount of money that you have spent. So since everything must be computed cumulatively, if you have a different month, and for example, you want to see after by the end of, let's say, by the end of January, what was your numbers? So this is your project performance at the end of March. You can say almost 72% of the project is done, and we have spent this much money on both of our activities. We were supposed to spend this much, so we are above budget. Okay, this is the value we have earned, but we were supposed to earn this value. Okay, so we are actually above budget, and the actual cost, sorry, we are behind the schedule because we're comparing the earned value with the planned value. So since the planned value is greater than the earned value, we are ahead of the schedule actually. Okay, so we are ahead of the schedule, but we are over budget because we were supposed to, I mean, for the budget, we should compare the earned value with the actual cost. So the earned value is 32, but we have cost $40,000. So we are over budget and ahead of the schedule. So one part schedule-wise, we're doing good, but cost-wise, we're doing poorly. And the last thing is, if you want to draw the S-curve, so you can change the data date. The only question you might have is that the actual cost is not given for at the end of every month. It is just given cumulatively. We just know that so far we have spent this much money. So the way we deal with it is that you can imagine a equal distribution of your cost between the months. Okay, for example, this activity A has cost 25 grand so far after 3 months. Okay, January, February, and March. So you can imagine that in each month, 1/3 of this cost has been spent. Okay, or for example, for B, it's easier. So each month it has spent $5,000. So at the end of January, its cumulative actual cost is $5,000. At the end of February, its cumulative actual cost is $10,000. And at the end of March, as we can see, its cumulative actual cost is 15 grand. All right, that completes my video about how doing earned value analysis using P6.